Game number one in this best of three solo king series between MaRin and Piccaboo, and with Pantheon actually the first ban here. And is that a Diana?
Alright, I guess Diana level 6 can solo out people pretty easily. Pantheon as well has the crit from the Heartseeker Strike that works out pretty well. And the spear damage is really annoying to deal with, especially if he gets a flask first and just raw AD. Can't really do anything about that.
Now with an Annie ban here, it's not necessarily super surprising, but wait, oh man, that's actually a really smart ban. I would never have thought to ban a Hecarim, but if you've ever gotten a chance to see maybe Gravity's mid laner Keen and his mid lane Hecarim, the idea with Hecarim is that you don't actually play against your lane opponent. You just get so fast so quickly that you can make it back to lane almost instantaneously, and a champion that can do that, it'll be interesting. But talking about the time spent in laning phase, we're gonna see a Fiddlesticks ban here as well as a Rise. These are very non-standard bans, at least based on the previous series that we've watched here tonight.
Kind of specific, I guess, to what MaRin might want to play.
Yeah, but there's a big problem with this ban phase, Egad. You know what that is?
What's that?
There's no Caitlyn ban. So why is there no Caitlyn ban? There's no Caitlyn ban. There's no Cassiopeia
maybe
ban. There's
the
no
mutual agreement to not play any of those.
Maybe they do have one. 3 bans, maybe not even enough for these 1v1s. It's gonna be a lock-in. Oh, it's a lock-in on Lissandra for MaRin. So this is actually really cool for a couple of reasons. A, very strong champion, but B, MaRin as a top laner is incredibly well versed on playing Lissandra in that situation. Whereas Piccaboo, not only has he probably never played Lissandra support, actually I want to take that back. Piccaboo's played all kinds of crazy stuff. So we'll leave it up to him as to what to pick versus this Lissandra. Sivers up if you want to go for that spell shield. I've seen that
TF isn't too bad. Dissipate, if you could survive the laning phase, get level 6, you can gate back into mid if anything, and take teleport too. Double the TPing power. Not too bad, not too bad. You have the cards, you have the gold card as well, something to think about there. Piccaboo, I'm not sure how familiar he is with solo lanes, but this is going to be a new experience for him, if anything. So we'll see. You got 4 seconds to think. And Sona.
All right, we were talking about support champions that can be played in in solo lane situations. The AP Sona, incredibly high burst damage once you pick up things along the lines of maybe a Lichbane. I think that's the big burst damage item of choice, of course, after items like Morellonomicon, or in this matchup you'd probably expect to see a Chalice of Harmony into Athene's Unholy Grail, although the costs have been raised and so may not be the item that you want. Either way, it's not exactly the 1v1 matchup I would have expected, with champions like Caitlyn, like Cassiopeia, like Nunu still available. We're gonna get a chance to see 2 champions that each individual player is very skilled at, so saying, hey, I'd rather be good at my champion already rather than just pick a champion that is good that I then have to play in an uncomfortable situation.
I'll see. I mean, the uncomfortable situation could be pretty relevant, but I don't think it is, like, right now. They're both teammates. They're both just chillaxing and having some fun. So you can advance further and further in this bracket. We can see the KD now coming in, a little bit ahead for the side of Piccaboo as he does play support for the games they play in OGN. So it kind of gets a little stacked up there just from some games. And there's MaRin too with Maokai straight at the top. Definitely one of his favorite champs.
And so now you can see just how effective this is going to be here for MaRin. You may not see Lissandra listed up there in his top champs, but it's definitely one that he has played his fair share of. So for SK Telecom, they come into tonight's matchup, at least as far as their LCK standings, way up at the top of the scoreboard, in 3rd place currently, sitting with a 4-2 score, whereas of course down there maybe a little bit lower, the KT and IM players that we've been seeing a little bit earlier on today. So will be a team kill here for SK Telecom, but which SK team member will advance to the next round? It's gonna be exciting to watch as the Solo King tournament continues here. KDA's notwithstanding, of course, these champion picks and stats and scores will all be based on the current LCK standings this season. which is a 5v5 tournament, so you can take them with a grain of salt. But what you cannot take any less than with the most seriosity, I'm gonna make that up as a word, are the two players at hand, Piccaboo versus MaRin. A lot of the analysts, and more importantly, when Azubu TV asked two of their teams, I think it was Coast and Impulse, which player was going to win in this matchup, all 8 players surveyed said that it was going to be MaRin. So we'll see if he can live up to the hype.
There's no surprise there. Yeah, I mean, he's performed exceptionally well in OGN and proven that he is a top laner, so not
now here with
too
the
bad.
NVEN stats coming out, you can see MaRin 75% there, so maybe not quite as confident as the North American teams, but still a large margin, giving the advantage in this 1v1 tournament to MaRin, probably, like you said, just based off of his solo lane experience.
Yeah, definitely proving that he can 1v1 no problem, but he's not going to be someone tanky. Lissandra does have mobility and such, and some good harass, which is a big thing, but I'm not sure how well she'll fare against... No, wait, no.
I played my first Lissandra game earlier on this morning, and I had 100 CS at 10 minutes, and I was like, where does the CS come from? How do I do this? I've never played this champion before, but it worked out for me, and maybe it'll work out for MaRin versus Piccaboo, who on his Sona will, I don't know, have a little bit of an interesting mid lane performance here. Not a champion I'm used to seeing mid lane, but then again, I'm not used to seeing these players 1v1ing mid lane. We'll see how they match up here in just a minute as we load into our first game of this best of 3 series. SK Telecom team kill here between Piccaboo and MaRin. Face Achani. Winner will be crowned right after this. Right after this. There
Maybe.
we go. I'm trying to read these cues, but
it's hard to read their body language. It's like
Is it coming? Is it coming? And here we go. All right, so stick around. We'll be right back with Piccaboo versus MaRin.
All right, so we are back with MaRin versus Piccaboo. This is gonna be the second to last BO3 till we hit finals after this, and we do have Lissandra taking on Sona. Piccaboo gonna be playing the Sona there with the TP and the Ignite, and then MaRin's gonna be playing with the Flash TP.
If you watched what Piccaboo did, he actually reflexively bought support items for Sona, and then figured out I should probably be actually CSing. So the Frost Queen's claim, not really. I mean, it's an okay item for a support champion, which he is playing, but probably not one that he wants to pick up in the 1v1 matchup. We'll just go for that Doran's ring, and maybe trying to think to himself, hey, I was reflexively just gonna buy support items. What do I buy in the meantime? For MaRin, it might just be the sustain from the Crystalline Flask, although, I mean, he does have teleport, but he's running Flash TP. Those are very lane-centric summoner spells like you'd expect to see in a 5v5. May not be quite as effective as this Ignite that Piccaboo's brought.
Alright, so taking the Doran's ring, he's going to be power cording and just should be able to destroy MaRin. He only has 30 magic resist too, and just 32 raw AP is good at tearing away with the Sona, so a lot of interesting trades are about to happen when they meet up in this mid lane.
Alright, well, they haven't quite met up yet. We're still waiting on MaRin to figure out exactly what he wants to do, and most likely that's going to involve picking up a 4th health potion before he leaves base, which is just something cool that you can do. If you start with a flask, you actually end up with 25 gold left over, so if you wait for a few seconds, you'll be able to pick up a 4th potion. It's a mana potion for MaRin, so going for both a Crystalline Flask, Total Biscuits of Rejuvenation, and a mana potion for a ton of mana coming back his way.
Interesting. He knows that Sona can heal herself, so he might as well just get as much as possible. And this lane is gonna be very positioning oriented. Power Chord is pretty good at dealing some serious damage to Sona, and whoa. Maybe they're tired.
This is where this is where we turn to analyst Egad to describe exactly what happened there. Piccaboo not in a great situation, of course. Level 2 is going to be super important for Sona because that's when she gets her sustain back in here. It's going to need to also last it under turret, something that Sona and her 52 attack damage may have some difficulties accomplishing.
I don't know what that was. That was weird. I guess he might have misclicked. Maybe he wanted. I don't even know what he would want from that because the keys aren't even anywhere near what Sona would be looking to press.
Yeah, at this point, the only button Piccaboo is attempting to press is the recall button to get himself back to base. However, having used that in that teleport already, it's not going to be an option for him at this point unless he wants to lose this early CS advantage, which is really just not something he can afford. He's continuing to walk into those ice shards that MaRin just throwing out. He doesn't actually care because he's clear casting at least a couple of them. Continuing to put the pain down onto Piccaboo, who will get a couple of nice power chord auto attacks back, but at this point, Piccaboo just so devastatingly far behind.
Yeah, one more spike and a path, and he's pretty much dead. Well, actually, he's got enough health from the potions, but just this continual harass out from MaRin, and there's no way he can do anything on the Sona. I don't even think he can get Elastis right now. It's way too hard. Way too hard. Even power chord is still proving to be very tough. MaRin could look to go for a dive here. Even without Ignite, it would be enough. But I would say just farm until 6 and then really look for the dive because I don't know how the Sona does anything. She's going to be under level. She's going to farm. I'm not sure how I feel about the Sona lane right now.
And more importantly, rather than just Piccaboo being behind, it is that MaRin is very, very far ahead. He's up over that 10 CS lead that is required to win a CS victory. But more importantly, he also has both Flash and Teleport available. And, Flash, one of the reasons that you don't see a lot of solo laners bring it in this tournament is that it's kind of a win more summoner spell. It's if you're ahead, you're able to flash into a turret and pick up the kill, but you still have to get ahead, and not having an aggressive summoner spell is not necessarily going to help you get there. And maybe positioning is something that you need for your win condition in lane, and Flash is a great spell to do that with, but now MaRin hitting level 5. This must actually feel heartbreaking for some of the teammates who are forced to fight each other. We saw KT earlier on kind of have a little bit of extra fun with it instead of just playing super hardcore.
You just gotta have some fun, that's all. That's all it's about. Quite honestly, I mean, this tower is gonna take a load of damage, but I think MaRin really wants this kill. Breaking this shield is pretty tough, though. So we'll see. That spike doesn't connect, though. And, I mean, Piccaboo was forced to go back to base. This tower, this turret, is going to take a bunch of damage, and, I mean, Piccaboo has to walk all the way back, too. It's getting below half. Still haven't seen a tower kill for a win yet.
Yeah, now a recall back to base here. Piccaboo will be able to teleport back into lane, so we waited out that teleport cooldown. I'm not sure if maybe the first teleport was just sending a message. I don't know, but
He doesn't care.
yeah, he dropped his trinket ward once again in the middle of mid lane. He lost all that CS to his turret, and at this point, yeah, Piccaboo not in a super serious mindset, that's for sure.
Holding the wave like that is not a bad idea, but now Piccaboo's got to run the hell away. He can't fight MaRin right now. MaRin picked up triple Doran's ring too and hit level 6, so we could see a very dead Sona very soon. Or maybe just the tower's gonna fall. This tower is dead.
There's no possible way that Piccaboo can save this one. One last auto attack, and there it is. Actually, the minions will give MaRin a somewhat anticlimactic victory. Not the fastest victory we've ever seen, but very, very methodical. A few pretty drastic mistakes there by Piccaboo, and MaRin will take game number 1 of this SKT Solo King match here on Summoner's Rift. Gonna get a replay coming back your way, or not. Replaying a turret kill, probably not super climactic.
Yeah, it's probably the most anticlimactic thing you could do for this game.
We could have both gotten super hyped for it, the turret is gonna go on turret, and then we realized that we're actually speaking English. And it doesn't work quite as well in our language.
Nope, it does not. You need to be at that original language for it to be good. So from here, jeez, what do we think? What do we think would be the next pickup? So the bands should be relatively the same. I don't think he's all too worried about Sona. Lissandra, though, probably going to be another target away from MaRin though.
I wouldn't necessarily say that you target Sona. I mean, to be fair, I don't know of any solo laner who wouldn't be okay with facing a Sona in lane. Sona kind of, falls over dead from experiencing things in the category of light breezes and other, relatively, squishy support champions. Also probably not going to be something that you'd expect to bring versus MaRin, who, on a champion that he's very familiar with, as that Lissandra top lane, is mostly banned against him, so he doesn't get an opportunity to play it all that much in LCK. But for tournaments like this, bringing it out and putting up that one in the win column, is he is one game closer, and actually one game away from advancing to the playoffs of this portion of the bracket and facing off against Hachani, who will be waiting there. Hachani from KT Rolster, who have been having a great day for their club today. We've seen 3 KT Rolster round 1 victories, and of course a victory for Someday in the grand finals of the upper bracket for this group stage.
That's not really grand finals. It's just advancement to the next bracket.
Well, it'll be the finals of the group stage for them.
Okay,
They'll advance on to face the finalists of the other group stages in a playoff bracket. So I guess you can look at it however you want to.
I'm just looking at it as like one big bracket.
It's a giant bracket made up of slightly smaller giant brackets. Yeah. That's going to do it for game number 1. Victory there for MaRin. Hopping in here to game 2. Will Piccaboo maybe pick a little bit of a different style of champion here? Is Sona, especially with that early teleport in lane, really questionable, and Singed ban also somewhat questionable when you talk about 1v1s.
Singed ban is pretty trolly. Singed in a 1 versus 1 is just really annoying. You can't really kill him, he just keeps poison trailing, and that's about it. But the Nami ban is weird to me. I don't know why Piccaboo would do that, but whatever.
Well, there's an Annie ban. I think that makes a little bit more sense. A support champion in some situations. So
well,
at least
we saw it be full burst mage, but the new kind of out-sustained it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and MaRin consistent with the champions he just doesn't want to play against. Banning out Annie, Pantheon. One more ban in his corner. What's it going to be?
I would think it'd be Xerath.
Xerath, you can still ban that Caitlyn. Hey, Egad. I heard that Caitlyn was a good champion to pick in 1v1s, but there it is. I called it earlier. I wanted to see the Thresh. Piccaboo, bringing that out. Will we see like an ability power based Thresh? Probably
AD Thresh.
Yeah, probably going to be AD Thresh. If he builds it with support items, I am going to be, forced to question his decision making. But at least for the time being, it's locked in. What will MaRin be playing against? Is this another one of those support on support matchups that we saw earlier, or is he going to go for something a little bit more fun?
No way, dude, dear.
You say that now, but
I mean, it could work. Thresh damage once Flay passive's down isn't that good. Alright, maybe just go with his guns and do with what he won before. Just stick with Lissandra, why not? If it works, do it.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that, Lissandra. If it isn't broke, it is not in need of fixing, if you want to grammatically correctly illustrate your point there. For MaRin, he had a great game number 1, and honestly, there was just really no answer from Piccaboo, no point in that lane phase at which he really ever showed any signs of life. So we'll be watching to see if maybe his Thresh is the champion that he's had the most practice on. He's an incredibly strong Thresh player, but in a 1v1 situation, not necessarily a champion you expect to see.
There used to be those highlight videos of, like, Blitz Thresh lanes and AD Thresh just like ripping people apart with crits and stuff. In this one, I don't think he's gonna be able to get to that point, but he could at least get maxed out Flay damage on the passive. Like that chunks away very, very, very hard. Seeing as how you can't really like just fully mitigate it since it's like a split between magic and physical damage. Jeez. I don't know. I think MaRin has this one.
Yeah, definitely MaRin. Everybody, when they were surveyed, the teams, the players, even Chopra said MaRin probably going to be able to take this one. InVen agrees in their matchup, in their rankings. Their vote total did list MaRin with a pretty sizable advantage here as well. So it's going to be exciting to watch as we get into this game. We're going to check out the picks, not the picks, the masteries before we do so. And I guess fairly standard here. We should see the armor standard, the magic resistance also going to have flat MR, but I believe that is actually 15 ability power here picked up on Piccaboo. So he is going to have a little bit of an extra offensive punch to his early game.
All right, I'm down for that. Just more raw damage is never bad, unless you're giving up like a lot of health. But other than that, it shouldn't be that bad. Jeez, 21-9 too. Like a lot of aggressive builds from the Korean teams here. No full out defense, no full out like utility or anything like that. Just I'm playing 1 versus 1. I am gonna hit you as hard as possible.
And this is AD masteries, so it'll be interesting to see what direction Piccaboo wants to go here. More interesting is going to be MaRin. We'll see what he wants to do here this time around with Lysandra. You can see, I believe that is
ability power.
Yeah, so it's
armor, ability power, mana. No, that's hybrid pen.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Of course, he's split those runes up a little bit more differently than you'd expect. But you get the idea. It's gonna be fairly. Wait, what is this mastery page? So he's
some right clicks too.
Yeah, he's put that point into spell weaving, so he's gonna have that. No blade weaving because he put that into, like you said, the right clicks. He's gonna have that spell blade passive for a little bit of extra oomph from his ability power on his just his auto attacks.
Okay, so. Let's see. We'll get into the map as soon as possible and stuff. And what else am I missing here? Trying to think.
I'm thinking about what I could possibly be missing about why on earth Piccaboo would pick Thresh. I don't see too many merits of Thresh in a 1v1. It seems there's no sustain there. It's a relatively short-range champion as opposed to champions like Caitlyn, which are very, very lane dominant. But maybe sort of trying to stick to his champion pool and make sure that he plays champions he knows how to play and feels comfortable with. However, in the 1v1, might not exactly be the things that work out the best for him.
No, the 1v1 is gonna be weird. Oh man, it's gonna be all to the spikes that MaRin hits. Honestly, if he can kite out the Thresh, it'd be no problem. But we'll see.
We'll do my my very best, my absolute best. Thresh coming in versus Lysandra, champion that won game number 1 incredibly hard. And keep in mind, this is only a best of 3. If MaRin wins this one, then he will advance, of course, to face Hachani in the next round, which will be our final best of 3 of the night. Only one series coming up after this one, so if you guys are excited for more Solo King, well, you only have a little bit of time left to watch these matches here on Azubu TV. And of course, if you missed this, I don't know why you're watching if you missed it, but if you're just now tuning in and want more Solo King action in your life, well, then don't go anywhere because we'll be broadcasting on a second day this week. And of course, for more schedule information, you can scroll right down below the screen and find out all the info about the Solo King tournament broadcast.
Yep, so a couple more seconds we'll be loading in towards the rift here, and we'll see if MaRin can close it out in a quick 2-0. So yeah, let's see the intro. Alright guys, welcome back to what potentially could be the last game between MaRin and Piccaboo. Piccaboo picking up his Thresh, MaRin going with the Lysandra again. I'm Egad. Joining me here is going to be Rapid, and yeah, we're on to the rift, ready to go.
Yeah, like you said, what could be our last game of the series? It is a Doran's Blade start for Piccaboo, but I don't know, is AD Thresh the answer?
I mean, he's not going to be able to sustain that much. His physical right-click damage isn't that high. The flame magic damage won't proc like lifesteal or anything like that. Jeez, this is so weird.
Well, as long as he doesn't teleport to a minion as soon as he walks into lane, I think he'll be in a better position than he was in game number 1.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Well, maybe. That's entirely Piccaboo's attempt here, standing in the bush right beside that mid lane. Looking for a, maybe a surprise of his own. If MaRin walks a little bit too far outwards, gets that sentence in there, and of course, well, I guess gets flayed in there. That is the skill that Piccaboo has chosen to skill up first.
Okay. Let's see. Once the creeps get over here, it's the lanes. It shouldn't be too bad. But they're just playing really passive, kind of trying to see if anyone ever extends just a little bit, just to get a little bit of information to see where the opponent is. And why is Lysandra glowing there? That's weird. It's just shining.
It's because of her passive. Means that she can clear.
Oh yes, a free spell. A free spell, or is it half cast?
No, it is a free spell. Of course, it happens every so often. There's actually like an 18-second cooldown between when it happens, but you can lower that by impairing the movement of enemies around you. So anything you do that impairs their movement gets you closer to more free spell casts. And of course, a lot of mana, of course, from those Total Biscuits of Rejuvenation. Doran's Ring thrown in there as well for good measure. And AD Thresh! Keep it up in CS, but I don't know. We're just see if it's the answer here for MaRin. What does AD Thresh have that other AD carries do not? And I think the answer is probably
nothing.
Crowd control. I don't know of any AD carry that has quite as much CC as Thresh does, but ultimately you're supposed to be getting on towards killing the guy, which of course support champions may have a slightly difficult job doing.
I mean, once he tries the death sentence and it actually does click, then he can't right click. So that's another thing to keep a watchful eye out for. And already MaRin's getting some good damage here into the tier 1. This is Thresh, wow, actually flashing and looking for the death sentence, forcing MaRin's flash out too. That was rather ballsy. This is a really interesting play.
You know, the interesting play for me here for Piccaboo is both the decision to go for Thresh and, you know, the decision on how to play this lane. A lane mechanic, something that top laners are very, very well versed in, and while duo laners know exactly where they need to position the wave for their AD carries, when you have to focus on everything all by yourself, all for yourself, you kind of lose maybe a little bit of that extra advantage. You can see, even just a teleport here, wait a second, MaRin TP'd to a minion instead of to a turret that gives you 1 minute less on the cooldown, so...
whatever, man, he does not care.
Yeah, he is just looking to get as quickly as he can back in the lane, and look at this damage down being put onto the turret. He won game number 1 with a turret kill, looking for game 2 as well. Minion wave lasting just long enough for MaRin to get out of that death sentence alive and unscathed.
Ignite comes in, alright, they get the flay back, uh-oh, MaRin's dead.
Wait, what?
Interesting.
And that was off of teleporting back into lane. We're gonna watch this again. They flay him back in. There's the death sentence, and he's still not actually dead. We're skipping forward maybe just a little.
No, we're skipping back here.
Okay, we're skipping backwards just a little bit. There's the ice claw forward. He's shoving this wave underneath turret. Keep in mind, this is just after teleporting back in. There's the flay. We're gonna see the death sentence hit as well, and at this point the trade isn't actually all that bad for MaRin, but here's where it goes from bad to worse here. Gonna slow him down there. There's the ignite. One more auto attack is kind of all it takes there. A flay passive off of being flayed backwards itself is just gonna keep him from running away. Last auto attack there for Piccaboo, and you know, forgive me for I've sinned. It's game number 2 that goes to Piccaboo off of an AD Thresh matchup versus Lysandra.
I didn't really expect that to happen at all. That was rather just surprising. It's just, honestly, MaRin really screwed up there. And now we're going to see a blind pick, so that's going to be interesting. I don't know what we're going to see there, honestly. Seeing as how Piccaboo likes to play the supports and the carrying roles, so we'll have to see what he wants to go for. Maybe we'll see some Soraka or something crazy.
Alright, well, we're gonna have to see something. I don't know, maybe you go crazy, but if you're MaRin, like, you know you have the experience on your side, but, I mean, there's only so much experience you can have playing 1v1 versus a mid lane AD Thresh. So, probably without a lot of practice in that matchup and, you know, exploiting a weakness. That is able to come back, and Piccaboo at least putting himself on the board here, tying things up at 1-1, but of course, winner of this matchup, like we said earlier, does advance to face Hachani. got a very, very strong win over Bliss in the earlier rounds here of the semifinals of this group. Piccaboo and MaRin, one will advance, the other will go home, of course, shortly to join his team member who advanced. In a good or bad way, we have yet to see.
What do you think Piccaboo's gonna pick? Honestly, like, here, maybe just go back to the Thresh?
Possibly, but like you said, we are still waiting here for our third and final game. Champion picks and bans underway.
It's just blind pick though, so.
Alright, so the ban phase has already been taken care of. 0 bans, but in one of our earlier blind pick games, we actually saw, blind monks being chosen for both sides. However, this time around, something tells me it is going to be a little bit different. And, maybe these guys just picking champions within their well-established champion pool, not going for anything too crazy. Looks like it will be a Rumble versus Janna between both of these guys.
That's weird. I guess an AP Janna, but the Rumble won't really be able to kill her. I don't know how he actually. It depends. This is so weird. I'm not used to 1v1 casting, as you can tell, but the Rumble can get harassed out, but at the same time, he can do the same thing with Flame Spitter and the harpoons. He doesn't have to worry about mana and such, so that's not too bad. And Rumble in mid is kind of awkward in itself, so I'm not really gonna call who could win this, because AP Janna takes a humongous amount of time to ramp up. I don't even think he can really trade at all.
Well, trading, something that didn't actually happen all that much in game number 2 is primarily just Piccaboo losing, Piccaboo getting shoved underneath his turret, and then deciding suddenly, hey, winning that whole game idea is fairly interesting. Let's go try it out precise to see how it works. And that's how he came back in game number 2. The nice AD Thresh. And so, what do you think about the picks for this deciding game number 3 matchup?
I think it's gonna be weird. Let's see the runes real quick. We got what, 21 AP. That's magic resist and then armor. That is a lot of front end damage he's gonna be looking to put out on the Rumble. And then 21-9. Pretty standard.
Now, last time I saw this, was this the rune page he was running? I think he had actually a point into spell weaving, so changing things up maybe just a little bit. You can see only 1 point into that 2% additional auto attack advice. But now we're gonna hop into probably see what Piccaboo's running. You see the same 26 in there, and as far as masteries are concerned, it's going back to exactly the same thing we saw earlier.
Yeah. All right. Who you think is gonna win?
Well, I want to go with MaRin just because he does have the overall higher follow count, but I could be persuaded to just I could be persuaded to vote for Piccaboo. I mean, after he turned that Thresh play around, I didn't think that was possible. So if you can make the impossible possible, it tends to earn you a lot of fans. And I know there are a lot of Piccaboo fans out there. If you are fans of Piccaboo, or regardless, fans of MaRin, then you know that at least one of your SK Telecom T1 hopefuls will be advancing. The only problem is that he does need to make it through what is the unstoppable, I don't know, what do you want to call this Thresh?
Chain Slayer? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not super great with naming suggestions like
Piccaboo seems pretty, because Thresh just like ghostly. It's like boo. I don't know. I'm out of ideas.
I'm pretty out of ideas too. I just can't wait for this game to get underway. We've got the deciding game at number 3 coming up. Building things up there. We're back out of the rift, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. to the Solo King tournament here, Korea 1v1 tournament on Azubu TV. My name is Reed Rapid Meld. With me is Daniel Egad Caruso, my fearless co-caster, who's intrepidly stuck beside me through all of these 1v1s tonight. SK Telecom, a team kill situation, and the last game in this best of 3 on the line. MaRin's Rumble takes to the Rift versus Piccaboo's Janna.
Woo! Alright, so I don't know how Piccaboo's Janna's going to fare here. 50 AP. No magic resist, no armor. Just looking to go raw tornado damage, I guess. Trying to just not let him shove the wave. And Rumble's not the best tower or turret pusher, so you just drop a shield on that and it should be okay for a little bit longer. MaRin also went for the Thorn Shield and Potion, which is another really interesting route. Especially against a Janna, because you're going to get nuked by the AP, but I guess the HP per 5 that the shield offers you isn't that bad. It's weird. This Janna could really become just a huge nuisance if she picks up like 3. If she gets 4 Doran's rings, I think it's going to be impossible to push in.
Well, now, one thing that we did see in game number 1 was the willingness to just sit back and base with a Chalice of not a Chalice of Harmony, a Crystalline Flask, wait for that extra health potion, or mana potion, depending on which resource you need a little bit more of, and then just come to lane maybe slightly farther ahead in objective control. But now it's up to MaRin without that, starting with the Doran's Shield, and try to block that range versus melee auto attack damage.
Okay. Well, I mean, coming into this lane, it's literally just going to be Flame Spitter non-stop, and then Piccaboo just shielding and running away once the shield pops and just trading like that. Yeah, it's going to be a really boring lane, I guess you could say. I don't think they're going to really die. This might be one of those games where it just comes down to creeps.
Alright, well, now that the creeps have, entered the lane, we're underway with what is going to be the last game in this best of 3. You can see Piccaboo walking up all the way through the minion wave, that is going to cause the minions to clump up just a little bit, but having shoved it already, you can see Piccaboo with that early level 2 now. MaRin should be able to get it off the next 2 creep kills, I want to say, so there is 1 going down, and actually needed only 1, and we'll grab that level 2 for himself.
Level 2s too don't really... Well, they do matter actually a little bit, because if MaRin can get that extra damage from overheating, just barely, or staying about 50% in terms of his overheating, Piccaboo does have to worry just a little bit. But again, he just needs to apply the shield to himself. He can take a Flame Spitter for just a little bit. It's only level 1 Flame Spitter too, so it doesn't do much. But Piccaboo going in, dropping Ignite. This is a weird engage. Right-click Janna's, I guess, doing some serious work. I don't know.
Alright, well, we'll definitely get a chance to see that. MaRin down below half HP, and Piccaboo, while it may not look like he's below half HP, the Doran's Shield does give MaRin overall a lot more, health than you would expect from, your other Doran's items out there. So, something to keep an eye on. Look at that Eye of the Storm Shield, too. You can see that really just raising Piccaboo's AD, and whoa, MaRin! Down to about 100 HP. I'm not sure, if Piccaboo just, ate his Wheaties this morning or what he is doing, but in such a high pressure situation, he's actually just going to opt to go back to base without shoving the wave in. It's in a position where it's pushing back towards him, so he won't necessarily have to worry quite so much, but...
He kind of TP'd back in anyway, so still looking for the last hits. The way he last hit that too is going to guarantee that the wave just keeps pushing forward and keeps the pressure mounted on towards his turret. He can utilize his turret to really just control wave momentum really well. There's 3 extra range creeps there? Yeah, but with Flame Spitter it becomes near impossible for him to actually maintain a good wave equilibrium. He does connect a Harpoon on to Piccaboo, but again, just getting it kited back by the Tornado as well as the Zephyr.
And if it comes to a champion who is good at kiting, it doesn't get much better than Janna. You can run away from just about everything. I hate it. It's incredibly frustrating to deal with, but at the same time, it's very good versus things like Rumble. You can shield the Flame Spitter damage as you're disengaging. And, oh, now shield not up. Look at the Flame Spitter flashing in. It's MaRin. who will find a 5-minute, 10-second kill
Huh, that's weird.
on a Piccaboo. Yeah, we're gonna get an instant replay here. You can see overheated Flame Spitter. He's gonna grab one, overheat again, and this time he's kind of just biding his time. There will get knocked up, and look at that heat start to, heat up once more.
He got the bonus
time.
damage too for that
Yep.
Flame Spitter, which was perfect.
Being in the danger zone, and there is the flash on in for the kill. Like I said, only about 5 minutes into the game. Congratulations, MaRin, with a 2-0 victory over Piccaboo. He will advance to maybe not the grand finals, but the finals of this group to face off against KT Rolsters Hachani. KT, a very strong 1v1 team, at least tonight. Can they continue the trend, or maybe this is it? Maybe we see a dissension, so that we can figure out different things that are going on. So let's go ahead and take a little bit of a break. I was thinking to myself, like, what on earth can we expect to see from Hachani versus MaRin? It could be a matchup that you don't want to miss, so don't go anywhere. We'll be coming back with the grand finals of this group stage. It'll be Hachani versus MaRin coming up next.